Put the mic on his face. 2, 3, 1, go. Here we go. We have Rosalyn Kahn, motivational speaker, author. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name is Rosalyn Kahn. I'm a TEDx speaker. I'm an author, a coach, a humanitarian, and I do a lot of amazing things in the world. I've written this recent book that's called A Message for Tomorrow's Leaders. It's like a study of history as it's happening about the pandemic, the protests, the riots and things like that. And I had asked about 46 people about their opinions of this event as it was happening. And I just talked to one of the contributors yesterday, and he gave me this really heartwarming message. You see, I've done many things in my life. Besides being on the TED stage, I was part of a union that was part of the faculty association. And this gentleman here was named Jonathan Lightman. And I called and I said, "Did you get my book?" And he calls me on the phone and he says, "Rosalyn, my wife sat and read the story and she cried." Because you see, Jonathan was a person who studied from pancreatic cancer, where most people died, and he went on to live. And he talked about his battle, and he said, "I feel so strongly about this book, Rosalyn. You've got to call the head of the faculty association. You need to get this out to all students all over the world." And so here I am talking to you today.
Yay.
And imagine that. And I had this dream the other night. And the dream I had the other night is I woke up and I was tossing and turning, and I said, the spiritual leaders of this world need to hear this message because it gives hope. I was on a call today with a group that's the Smile, Ken-Roshan, and the Smile movement, and we're talking about the number of people who are suicidal, who are depressed, who are ravaged, about 1 year in the home. And I believe that my book gives people hope, a reason to go on, a reason to live through the ups and downs and through all the hurdles.
Okay.
And there we have it.
All right. Very good. So you're a spiritual, but is it more spiritual as far as energy is concerned, or are you religious spiritual?
Oh, just spiritual, just feeling that there's people in the world that need help in lifting themselves up to be the best that they can be. I once did a Possum Meditation where it was a place where you had utter silence for 2 weeks and you had limited meals.
Ooh.
And you had to walk around and be quiet. And this woman came up to me at the end and she said, "You have the most amazing spirit inside of you." I'm like, where? Show me where it's at.
How can you see it? What's going on? So you must just an aura.
They said it's, just kind of the feeling in. And I look at the face of the two of you guys, and
not bad, huh?
That I know that there's a connection here, because when I told you I was on this movement of kindness, you said we got to talk to this lady. This lady's incredible.
Yeah, and I'm very, very much into it. Actually, my sister is more. I have gotten much closer with my sister in recent years. She's 13 years younger, so we had a big age gap there for a little while. But now, we're both adults, and she's an empath. You know what an empath is?
Person who senses people's feelings and is very quickly drawn into where they're at and what's going on.
Yeah, and she's also reads poems and things like that. She's very, very spiritual, very hippie. But I've learned a lot from her. That the spirit of positivity is super important. And I'm usually a glass half empty kind of a guy. I'm always kind of a pessimist a little bit. So I with my sister, I recognize, that being more positive definitely helps, with your health, with, all kinds of positive things. So yeah, it's super awesome.
You start the day in a positive way, and you write out those things that you're grateful for. And there's actually research that goes ahead and it changes the brainwaves.
Yeah.
Changes the brainwaves. And I always say that when things don't start off in the way that you're looking for, you start your list at the end of the day. And so here's my list for the end of the day of what I'm happy and excited about, of the exciting things that happened yesterday. Okay, and so you can do it anytime, any place.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. So have you noticed that during this pandemic, like, that people have been getting depressed because they're not social creatures? Like, normally we're human beings are very, very social. So this is You have
Well,
habits in a difference.
I've talked to all sorts of people, and the lady I was on the phone with today was quoting the number of people who had deaths and suicides and drug addictions and battery. And
Yeah.
those things are basically through the roof. And people are taking desperate measures. I mean, I'm with a company that helps people on security and things like that. And the guy that I was on the phone with just a few minutes ago was talking about in Beverly Hills, a guy was sitting outside eating lunch, and three guys come up and they basically take his watch from him because it had diamonds and jewels and all these other things. And, the guy got the gun and they got the person in the restaurant. He's like, you didn't hear that? It's like,
Where is this?
this isn't here in LA.
Yeah, yeah.
I
That's
mean,
crazy.
it's in, and, with what is it, a jack to put up the phone and your jack to go ahead and put up your car. And with the torch thing, you can go ahead and, the catalytic converters that are just walking out the doors because people want that $2,000. I mean, I can use some money, but I'm not going to take those exasperous measures to go ahead and make it happen. I mean,
Yeah.
That's causing harm to our environment, and it's causing, you get your car goes when
Now
you
you're
start it up, and you know that there's something missing there. You know that there's something missing there. It's just like, and yet there's plenty of groups and organizations out there that are giving food to people and help them out. Here we have a project called the Kenneth Hobson Food for Life. And I'm sure in every community, including where you're at, you have organizations that are feeding people. So it just brings to question why.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. Desperate times call for desperate measures, I guess, for some people. It's unfortunate. Now, I know out in LA, there's like a mass exodus of everybody leaving because of the lockdowns and everything like that. What's that like? Is anybody
Well,
talking about everybody leaving? Is the housing market like, are houses cheap now, or what's going
well,
on?
what's happening is people are no longer locked down to having to go to the office, and they figure if I don't have to go to the office, and we've been for like this long, why not move to a place that costs less? And so you're seeing that a lot of people move to Texas, and they got
Yeah,
surprised with the
Texas.
snowstorms, the
Yeah,
snowstorms that hit, and a lot of people off to Las Vegas. And I'm in a networking group, and properties are a hot commodity, and a lot of
yeah,
people, there's a people will get almost anything. They want houses because the other people are moving in, and it just someone went ahead and asked me the question, is the object of life to have the most money in the world,
nope.
or is the object of life to be happy? And what do you think happiness means to you?
Happiness to me, the money does make me happy. I'm not gonna lie. It definitely having some money definitely makes your life comfortable. So I'm not gonna sit here and call myself,
All the money in the world, all the money that you could possibly have,
No,
or
no, no,
or
no.
enough to get by?
Just enough to be comfortable, to not have to worry. I think that's. I grew up very, very poor, so I know that the stress is that not having enough to put food on the table or be able to pay the bills, worried about the electric bill and things like that. You have to at least be able to make a comfortable living in order to achieve happiness. I don't think you can just be happy with, the stresses of everyday life, especially here in the U.S. Now, I'm from Peru, grew up there, and I've moved around kind of pretty much everywhere. So I understand that different societies live different ways. And the way that we live here in the U.S. is just super stressful. Go, go, go. Let's make that money. How much can we get, So I understand that that's not what makes you happy. You can have
No,
as much money in the
just,
world.
but it's the moments that you wake up, and what do you do with your time and your off time, and where do you just relax and enjoy? I mean, I love taking pictures, and these pictures I took in the background are the roses in my front yard and a sunset, and I can refrain myself from getting depressed and getting upset by just looking at the flowers. There's a beautiful red flower that just blossomed outside, and you look at those things and you say, does the mind really need to go there, or is there something else that we can look at that can bring us joy and happiness in our world?
Yeah, taking the time to stop and look at the little things is, a form of happiness, I would imagine. You know, I go back and forth with whether or not COVID has actually been a negative thing. You know, in all honesty, it has brought some positive things. I started playing the harmonica. I started fishing. I did so many other things aside from focusing on just making money, which was my life post or pre-COVID. But my life post-COVID is almost completely different. You know, I don't think it is a bad thing. I'm not making as much money as I was, which makes me a little sad. But things are turning back around, so I'm okay. But yeah, you know, what are your thoughts? So you think it's been a good thing, bad thing?
I think if we go back to the spiritual thing, a lot of people have had to take a reset on life and ask themselves really what's most important and most valuable for them. And people who were trainers who were training all over the world have had to, you know, come down and realize that everything isn't always out there, but it's in your own home and your own space. And, you know, my creativity basically went through the roof. If you go on my Instagram page, you'll be fascinated with all the flowers and the stuffed animals and the food that I was making. Did 188 posts on how to reverse stress and wrote approximately 3 books and launched a series that's, you know, going to be picked up by a major network. And it's amazing things that have happened. Yeah. But yeah. And
congrats!
It's exciting. You never know what's on the other side.
Well, we also created this podcast with the extra time that we had. You know,
well, Matt's being a quiet guy here. Matt, come on.
Well, Matt's the producer. He said, I will only speak if spoken to. Is what that's my tech guy.
One of my best attributes is I know when to be quiet.
Hey, that's a great thing. Tell us about yourself. What got you into this world of becoming a producer for podcasts?
Josh did. No, I work in the AV industry. So in at college, I hang projectors and deal with the audio and video setups. So I have a little bit of background in it. And when Josh asked me if I wanted to produce, I thought it's a great way for us to hang out. Specifically when COVID hit and we can't hang out. Also, I have 2 young kids, so I just don't have that much free time on my hands. So
you look so young. You look like a day over 20.
Yeah, he's a good-looking, strapping man. I'm sure the wife would love to hear that.
Yeah,
it's the filter I have on the camera. No, I'm 35 and I have a almost 4-year-old and almost 2-year-old, and they keep me busy for sure.
Well, it's amazing because I used to work in audiovisual in the college when I was young.
Okay.
So
that's awesome.
Cool. That exciting life was about starting those video projectors and sitting in the back room and, just being the king of the world and say, and they pay me for this? Wow. Whoever would have thought that I could have made money on this,
Yeah.
I think that a lot for sure because it's fun.
No, it is definitely fun. So, yeah, that is cool. So tell me, what's been your favorite podcast that you've had going so far?
Man, we've had some doozies, some that have gone from all the way left to all the way right. Favorite podcast was actually one that I had with this guy named Thomas Gallo, who's a very religious guy. He is also an author, by the way. You'd probably love to speak with him. Super amazing guy. But just really, really Christian and very, very much. We didn't have a debate. It wasn't a debate. It was a kind of a back and forth about religion versus spirituality, and him thinking that the only way you can pass on to heaven is to go through the Christian religion. Every other religion is not. And I had a complete opposite view about it. I have my whole life ever since. I grew up Catholic, but I was like, why do we have, why is Catholic the only way to get to heaven? Why Christians say that Christianity is the only way to do it? You have to be reborn and things like that. So, I'm very spiritual, but I don't think that anybody's wrong. As long as you're positive about what you're doing and what the religion causes are, I think that they're all good, and they should all be included into the one. I'm sensing you think the exact same thing.
Yeah, I think that religions they just go by different names. They might have slightly different practices, but when you look at the basic essence,
Yeah,
about not killing,
yeah,
not
they all have
lying.
the same set of kind of rules. They just kind of go about it in a slightly different way, have different ceremonies. And I think that that's okay. Being all inclusive, I think, is number one. So yeah, as far as the podcast, as my favorite one that I could talk about forever, it's that one. But I'm not gonna say that talking to my brother wasn't and my sister wasn't my favorite podcast either. In case they're hearing this.
Well, it's always good. And what kind of useful information did they have that they shared with you?
Who? My brother.
Yeah.
Well, my brother Jerry, he is just a really unique guy. You'd have to listen to it. It's we spoke mainly about. He's very into cryptology, like Bigfoot and UFOs and aliens and that kind of stuff. And I'm really into that stuff too. So that was the main topic of that particular conversation. Are you into any of that kind of crazy stuff, or
Nah.
pretty? Yeah.
I'm with
I mean,
you,
but if
Rosalyn.
Sorry?
I said I'm with you, Rosalyn. I'm not into that, and usually, if Josh is going to be talking about that, I'm usually the wet blanket, like poking holes in his theories. So I'm
Like
probably
this
not
whole
good for that podcast.
Exactly. Like this whole COVID thing, me and Matt have had a discussion about it. I was like, this is a hoax. This is got to be a hoax. It's like some kind of crazy thing to shut down the entire globe. And I don't mean to say hoax as in a hoax. I just mean like this is a plan that was set in place and launched into the ether. Don't you agree?
I do. My husband and I, he's not around, so I can have these conversations. And I have friends that know. I have a friend that was part of 9/11, and she was back in the Twin Towers, and she said, sorry to say, but you got to go back to the Bible. And the Bible goes ahead and says there's going to be a reawakening, and there's going to be a chance where people have the opportunity. And whether you like it or not, did we really have to close down America? I mean, you can get me going on this, and we'll have.
Let's go, because I'm all about it. Yeah, did we close down America? We didn't just close down America. We closed down the world.
The world. And did they do that for 2018 for the flu?
What about Mars? What about the rovers they're sending to Mars? Do they have masks over there, the rovers? That's a joke, but you know what I'm saying. Like, it might shut down the solar system if we're really going to be talking about it,
Yeah, and it just goes ahead and it kind of asks the question, why? Who's it's.
Well,
the part that breaks my heart are the small businesses that are out there.
Oh, you're preaching to the choir with that one.
And that have closed their doors. There was a lady who had an esthetician, and she was the only esthetician in B&I, and she said with almost tears in her eyes, folks, I just want to let you know, it's going to be my last meeting here. It's hard to say this, but I'm going to have to withdraw my membership because we're closing down our business.
Yeah.
And you can come out and see me 30 miles away, and I'll be there 2 days a week. But, you just hear that over and over and over again. Everybody knows somebody who's been in a business that's had to shut their doors down. And,
Yeah, I've been one of the lucky ones. I own a small business. It's called My Gym. Very prominent out there in LA, by the way. My Gym Children's Fitness Centers.
I know those places.
They started it. It originated out there, and I'm one of the franchise owners here, and our business got destroyed. Luckily, we've been able to bridge the gap with these PPP loans that have come in order to pay the employees. But in all honesty, we weren't paying rent. We weren't paying, had to pay electric because didn't want to get the power shut off. But, as far as anything else, I was like, we can't afford it. And I think a lot of these businesses that are closing, unfortunately, probably went the route of, paying all their bills, paying their rent as usual without waiting to see what was going to happen. I kind of took the approach of cavalier approach of, I'm just not going to pay rent. Let's see if they kick me out, because I
Right.
knew
I
that
mean,
paying the employees was the most important. Go ahead.
yeah, I mean, you can get top loft in Los Angeles, any building you want to just have a top loft, and they're virtually giving it away
Yeah.
because buildings are virtually empty.
Yeah.
And to me, the big question is when we come back, and
Do
people have been
we
working
fully
out of
come back?
their home all this time. What is the real motivation to go back to those buildings so Big Brother can watch you do your job?
It's very good. That's a very good question. I mean, I think you could do a lot of this office work right out of the home. If you're going from your home into an office where you're just going to sit in a cubicle in front of a computer, yes, I think that probably is gone. I think a lot of things are not coming back. I'll tell you one thing that was a very simple thing. My water fountain. My water fountain where you push the button and you drink out of the water fountain, gone. That's never coming back, Little things like that, but it also multiplies into, some things are just not going to come back. Some things are just not going to be the way they were.
You even talk about those people who are speakers. You don't need to fly an
Yes.
airplane anymore. You don't need to go around the world. And it's
Yeah.
amazing when you see how many of them are plotting to come to my free event, come to my free event, come to my free event. One of I don't recall the name, but he's selling those oils, the essential oils. And
Yes.
when a professional speaker who escapes the name is out there selling essential oils, what does that tell you about our world?
Is that bad? I don't know. I don't understand your point. Sorry. What do you
Yeah,
mean? Is that that's bad when they're
that's
selling
bad.
essential oils?
Yeah, I mean, essential oils is nice, but it's it's a multi-level marketing enterprise and so on and so forth. And rather than selling their speaking skills, they're
I see.
yeah, that's
Oh,
that.
okay. So
That's
they're
the
I gotcha. Well, maybe because there's not. Maybe their whole job was at the time to go to universities and speak, so that maybe this is a side business for them. I don't.
yeah. It's I was on a show today that we're talking about businesses out of the home, and
Yeah.
that's definitely a business that you can do out of the home. And in those essential oils, you want to be able to smell, you want to be able to feel the
Yeah.
difference of what they're going ahead and saying. So it's kind of rough to figure out what's going on and happening there, but it's causing a
Yeah.
change. And my concern is the little kids. I'm very much an intellect by heart, and I want to know the long-term impact of those kids
Well,
without having the socialization in
sure.
near gyms. And
Right.
I had a person that I remember, and she was telling me that her kid was so clingy on her that she had to put her back in a place where she could go to a place where she could interact with others.
Sure.
What is how many? My heart says there are going to be a lot of
Well,
kids who are psychologically damaged by
well,
the lack of interaction with peers at their same age point, because not everybody can
yeah.
afford those extra credit activities that are out there.
Yeah, you're correct about that. What I hear from my parents that have stayed with me through this COVID thing. Now, when COVID first started, it was mass exodus. As far as all of our members, all of our business basically just went down to almost zero. The only way we were able to keep the business alive was to go into an online format and teach Zoom classes, online. And some people stayed, majority of them left, but all of my parents say the same thing that you just said, which is basically we need that social interaction. We want to make sure that you're operating in a safe way, and we are with the different things that the governor tells us the way we have to do, and that basically lost my train of thought there for a second, but
We're
basically,
talking about the long-term damages and what your parents said about supporting you in your avenue as everybody got up and left and walked out and ceased to
yeah,
exist in your
that they
business.
wanted, they know, they understand the input. That was my point. Thank you. That they understand the importance of socialization. That we humans are social creatures. That we need to learn how to interact with each other. And I don't know if this whole COVID thing just basically taught us, okay, let's not bunch ourselves up into like a stadium with 80,000 people, right? Let's not bunch ourselves into a crowded bar. Let's not bunch ourselves into crowded lines at the amusement parks. Remember how it used to be? Now it's so nice when you go to the convenience store and they say, here, stand at this spot. The other spot is 6 feet away. That's nice. It's not bad. So there are some good things that I think COVID basically was like just, I think the Chinese were like, too many people, throw COVID out. Too many people, too close. Everybody's too close. I think whoever invented it was like, they understood human beings were just going to be like bunched up into sardine cans, basically.
Well,
and I think that was the main purpose of it, to be honest. I really do. I think there was a danger to that.
But I think on the other side, and I want to be the realist, is the seniors of the world not being able to spend time with their family and their loved ones, and people not being able to pass on the memories of a funeral and being there at the last moment to hold that hand.
Mm-hmm.
And
my grandmother passed away during COVID. It's okay. It's it's nature.
Right, but was there a funeral?
We had to do it on Zoom. We had to do it on Zoom. And it was beautiful and it was sad at the same time. It was like, oh, nice, we get to see each other, and we were all connecting from different continents, because I had relatives from England, relatives from Peru, relatives from different parts of Argentina, different parts that we all got to connect on Zoom seamlessly, quickly, We're like, why don't we do this more often? We had to do it for this funeral. So it was almost like this kind of like to best explain it was very sad to not be able to be there, but it was very nice to be able to see everybody.
That's the beauty of it. We've done Thanksgiving meetings and religious meetings on Zoom and things like that. It's opened up a new way, and it's a blessing how many seniors have come along to force themselves to learn that new skill and to get up there and get out there and to do it. And it shows that it doesn't matter how old you are, you can always teach an old dog new tricks. An old dog can learn new tricks. And
that's it. That's right. Why do they say that, by the way? Old dog, new tricks? Like, like what? Is that new dog, new tricks? I don't understand the reference, but I understand. Yeah. Sorry, I'm a little jokester. I like to joke around.
No, it's okay.
Jokes
are fun. Jokes are fun.
Do you have a podcast, by the way?
Well,
I didn't see that on your thing.
Well, there's a show that's up and coming, and we're in the projects of getting it up and getting it going. And
let's talk about that for a little while. Let's talk about that. Let's promote you, even though we don't have very many listeners. Let's promote you anyway.
I do have a series. It's up on IGTV, which is Instagram, okay. And there's some amazing videos of some people I have interviewed. There's a lady out of Canada that's talking about the Native American population. There's a guy by the name of Dub Chaplin who's talking about feeding those people in Los Angeles. And my most endearing.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Go back to. So what is it? What is the one guy talking about? The first guy?
He's a veteran that's unified all these organizations throughout Los Angeles to feed the hungry in LA, where basically 1 in 5 people go hungry each and every day. And so he's unified everybody from every walk of life, every religious background and upbringing, to be able to feed them meals. And it was such an impactful interview that I had basically interviewed him on the upcoming, and he said, this is $1 million job and I make a penny. And yet it's the best thing I've ever done. And every time I talk, they're happier and happier about the number of people that they serve. And so if you want to hear an amazing story, his name is Dev Chaplin, and you go to my Instagram page, Rosalyn Kahn, you can follow me there. And in addition to that, I have an interview of a person whose name is AJ Stunts, and we're talking about young people who do amazing things. I met AJ Stunts through his friend whose name is Tyler Gordon. You might recognize the name Tyler Gordon.
I don't.
He was the young 14-year-old who painted a picture of Kamala Harris before she became vice president. And she had called him and congratulated him, and the video virtually went viral. He was doing an exhibit at an African-American museum, an African-American art exhibit that was here in Los Angeles. My manager, Dr. Mariel McKinley, had gotten that up for me. And it was an amazing, amazing interview. And so, you know, the world of social media, you become friends through a friend of someone else. And one of AJ's friends was this kid named Tyler.
Okay.
And Tyler and I just hit it off. And when I found out what he was doing, I saw him high-fiving some homeless person. And I'm like, what's that good kid doing this? What's this all about? There's something wrong with this picture.
Well, the homelessness, I don't know if I want to call it a problem. Is it a problem? It seems like a lot of people are saying that in LA, it's a problem. But is it a problem?
Where you live?
No, the homelessness, no, not like in LA where you drive by tents and tents and tents and tents of people living under,
I could take you.
bridges.
We could take a drive, and I could show you the freeway, and
That's
see
what
I've heard. You could see what I'm talking about, and if you had a choice, and you could live on the beaches of Southern California, or you could live where you live, where would you like to live and live on the beach, or live,
Good question. I don't know. I've lived a lot of places. So Matt, take this one. Answer that one.
Yeah,
I'm not a beach.
You were homeless. Where would you be happy to live?
I'm not a beach
California.
person, but I think to your point, if you are homeless, you want to be somewhere that's warm. I mean, you hear about homeless folks that pass away because they literally freeze to death up in northern areas. So yeah,
right. It's people's number one choice. And at one point, I was focusing on the homeless people and did a lot of talks with the mayor, a police officer in Philadelphia, and had interviewed him. And he was talking about the projects he had done to bring these people back to life. But Steve Lopez had done a story about a guy that he took off the streets and he tried to put in a hotel. And regardless of what he did, there's certain comforts. You listen to the noise level, you got your friends, you got your buddies, you got your pals, and there's different.
It's based. Go. I'm sorry. I'm an interrupter.
And so there's other projects where religious organizations have gotten together, that one goes ahead and provides the meals, and one does the education, and one does the job search, and one does this, and one does that. And they rotate on each month. A different religious affiliation will go out and give them the meals and feed them, so they have the social support, so they can get out of the place where they're at.
But isn't that exactly why those people that are in those homeless situations there? Because they don't want any of all of that people are trying to provide for the home. Isn't LA basically just a way for people to, kind of like Native Americans, where you just lived off the land? Now, unfortunately, it's a little different. You're living off the land underneath a bridge, which is not, what, we're intended to do as human beings here on this earth. But isn't it kind of, this is a question for you because you're out there. Are most of the people that are homeless, are they spiritual? Are they understanding that we need to get away from this construct of buildings and jobs, and that you sit in front of a computer, and more into the experience life physically?
I'm sorry to say I don't have any direct conversations with these people, but I know that they leave a lot of trash. and
Okay.
they don't clean up after themselves, and they're causing problems in neighborhoods and things like that. The battery and the theft, and the
Why
reality
isn't
is and the reality is this. Um, I think the laws are that you can't kick people out of their home during the COVID, but there are still people who are losing their places of residence. And when you look at people, maybe they had a drug problem, maybe they got divorced from their beloved. And the sad part is when these abusers are in the same home with their families that they're battering. And we've seen a huge increase on that. And because of the lockdown, that's just a circle that keeps on going. And that goes into the drug and the alcohol and the suicides and so on and so forth. But
yeah.
the homeless people is a huge problem. They're everywhere. There's not a neighborhood that you can go in that isn't impacted by them.
Do you have an answer for the homelessness problem? Because it seems like the government in California is just allowing it to happen because they don't really know what to do about it.
Well, they spend all sorts of money to try and figure out. And I know that when they were doing the census, they were asking the people the things and services that they need. But I
What
can
is that? Wait,
talk.
hold on. Hold on. Sorry. Let's go back because you say so many things. And they're great. I just want to make sure we hit on all the points. So what does the census ask? What are the questions that they're asking the homeless people in order to gain?
I can't answer specifically what they were, but I think the genre, the type of the questions they were asking, or what are the services that we could provide that could help you to be successful, to get back up on your feet, to get back up and out of where you used to be.
Oh my
But I
God,
think
I bet the answers were to like across the board, like give me $1 million. I don't know, food for a year. I don't know. Like probably so many answers from so many homeless.
but you look at the numbers, and the numbers are just exploding. And
They really are, yeah.
and we talk about the people who are out of work and out of jobs and out of businesses. I mean, they're looking for those opportunities, and when you don't have money, you kind of shut down what your options are. You shut down what you can do and what you can't do.
Yeah, it's almost like the homeless are probably going to be like, well, what am I allowed to do? What am I allowed to do? That's the answer to the question,
Well,
like.
you think about if you go and apply for a job, you got to fill out an application. The application asks you what your address is, your phone number is, where they can send this to you, and you go,
Yeah. I don't have
405
one.
and 101, right under the underpass is where I live. And
Tent
I'll just
number 3 on the left. It's blue.
Yeah, the third cart with the multicolored.
Hey, right.
Multicolored
We move
blanket.
around quite a bit actually because I got to carry my things around. So wherever the wind blows. I have a friend who's really good friends with my sister, who is very much like, she's not homeless. She has a home. She just chooses to live life out in the woods. Takes her shoes off, feels the ground with her actual feet, and chooses to be a part of nature versus this construct that we created here on planet Earth, which is buildings and concrete and all that. So there is a certain, and I think COVID it's almost like trying to get us back to our grounding. Or here's where Matt's gonna be mad at me because here's the thing. I don't feel that we were supposed to be here. I think we were brought here from we don't, if you look at how we interact, how we are, we're parasites. We're parasites. And that's not good. That's like an insect. That's like, like a microorganism parasite. We're not an actual, the way that we act more like, do you believe that? Or I don't know. I can't understand if you're agreeing with me or not agreeing with me.
Couldn't you say the same thing about ants or
No,
bacteria?
because ants
or
are organisms, and they work with each other, and they work only with nature. They work only with nature. They don't build.
People work with each other.
Yes, but that we build things. Let's just call the buildings. I mean, cities. I mean, think about, we build cities. We don't build them from the earth. It's not like everything's from the earth. They're built from. All right, they're built from the universe. Okay, let's go. Go.
Oh, well, I mean, we're taking resources from the earth and modifying them to create structures.
Pillows and lamps, you know, and things like that. Headphones, you know,
but
microphones. You
don't think ants are doing the same thing, digging up the dirt and tearing down plants, and they're
I'm not. No, I'm gonna go with no. But okay. Rosalind, please get on my side. Please get on my side on this one.
I'm just listening. It reminds me of, I was in a professional development class, and one of the activities they had is they gave you these items to go ahead and bid cities and build buildings. And the lesson, more than the building of the cities, all come down to communication. How is it that one communicates with another? Are you a leader, or are you a follower? Are you a supporter? Are you a uplifter? And how did that come to bring the like minds together? And I think in life that we can, you know, I'm watching the cat there, and the cat must have felt the energy from us, that he decided that he wanted to just come and get involved in this conversation. And he said, "This is for me, because we're part of this world too," which brings me to a funny story. I'm going to shift here about the dogs. Someone said that there was this old joke when the pandemic first went ahead.
That's your book, right?
Yeah, I got a book on dogs and roses. Dogs and Roses, How to Reduce Stress and Anxiety in Today's Troubled Times. So the story was that that they were saying, dogs said that they wanted to get back to their normal days. And so he's sitting up on a shelf. And when he's sitting on that shelf, he says, "Can't I have my old life? Can't I have my whole life the way it used to be?" Because
with new tricks?
With new tricks.
Old dog, new tricks. Get it?
Yeah, old dog new tricks. That where I just got to, you know, I'm sick and tired of going on those 100 walks. I'm just sick and tired of going out. Let me just sleep around. Let me just slug around. And, you know, the cat's there saying the same thing, you know, Pop is here. Why don't I just climb on over, and he'll come over and give me a snuggle, and so on and so forth. And, you know, people have written funny books about the relationship with their animals, and where they couldn't used to find enough people for animals, they're now, animals are hard to come by, because everybody wants that comfort, that 100% acceptance, unconditional love. Whether I pet you 100 times or I don't pet you 100 times, that's what it's all about. And so this little book here has all sorts of pictures of friendly, beautiful dogs.
Is it a picture? I haven't read the book. I'm imagining it's not a picture book. It is
a picture book.
It is a picture book? So Dogs and Roses. Aw. I love it. Dogs and Roses is, what's the motivation behind that? Or what is the purpose of it, I guess?
This book was written in a depression. It says, reducing stress and anxiety in today's troubled times. And so this
book, just to look at the little things?
Yeah, it's about looking at the little things and how we can celebrate and recognize what those little things are. And I had a life coach, and at the time he said, you know, what brings you happiness? They weren't ants. They weren't Bigfoot. They were dogs.
They weren't buildings that ants somehow build, Matt.
They were dogs and roses, because you said every dog that you look like just brings a smile on your face. And when you look at that, when you look at these beautiful roses behind me, there's an amazing calming feeling that you get by looking at them. Would you not agree?
Yeah. What kind of calming feeling are you getting from our backgrounds? Not mine at all, but man,
looks
at
like-
least you get to see the cat. There's like life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's the
that.
cat is looking cool. It's comfy. It's comfy.
The
It's
dog's on
good.
the ground too.
And the dog's on the ground. What kind of dog is that?
She's a mix. It was a rescue, so it was a little sketchy, and they didn't give us straight answers. But
They didn't give you a straight answer. They just said, "Here's a dog. Take her."
dog, yeah, and we said okay, sure.
Yeah.
She's part lab. We've heard every time we see somebody in the park or something, they'll say, "Oh, that looks like this type of breed." And we've heard Carolina Wild Dog, and we kind of looked that one up, and it looks like that.
What?
Have you ever heard of that?
They have
Carolina
that?
Wild
No,
Dog?
never ever. No.
Yeah, just look it up, and it kind of looks like what she is. So it could be
Okay,
that,
I
but
will-
to be honest,
I'll put
we don't know.
Yeah. So I wrote that book out of a depression. It was one of the things that brought me happiness. And I know that
That's
when life has its
beautiful.
ups and downs, I go outside and I look at the beautiful flowers, and they're just so innocent. You're like, does it really matter? Look at these flowers. And there's no two flowers that are ever exactly at all the same. Never, ever, ever. So
That's the name of a book. No two flowers are ever the same. That's the name of a book right there.
okay, there we go. I'll write that one
Your
down.
next one.
The two flowers. But I got the one for the next one. The next one is called Flowers, Food, and My Furry Friends.
Flowers, food to my furry friends.
Flowers, Food, and My Furry Friends.
Oh, all right. That's the next one. It's already. So what is it? Is it another picture book?
It is going to be like a book like Water for Chocolate. So it's going to have exciting recipes, exciting adventures that you can go ahead and do. And you can even
Okay.
have your cat in that book there. Matt?
Yeah.
The cat can
Yeah.
be there too. So
Yeah.
it's all those furry friends that we have. We can have hamsters and orangutans and everything else that has fur on it. And they're how I survived the pandemic. But I did hear that there is concern that they want to have a second edition of A Message for Tomorrow's Leader. So if you guys would like to be included in that, I can have you, we can get a letter over to you to get you guys in that book, and you can be contributors to that book on A Message for Tomorrow's Leaders.
I mean, if you think that we're worthy of it, sure.
Hey, as an owner of a children's gym, I'm sure you have some insight about our kids.
20 years working with children, I definitely have insight onto exactly, but I don't, yeah. So yeah, I would be honored if you wanted, I'd be nervous. I don't know what I would contribute, but I'd be honored, but I'd be nervous.
You can start writing today. You can start writing today, and we'll get it down, and we'll get some revisions, and we'll get some upkeeps on it and good things. But people might also be interested in the fact that I train people on speaking. So if you have any of your friends who are looking to up their ante in their presentation and their speaking skills, I train
You're
people-
looking at one right now. It's Matt right there.
I'm the producer. I don't need to talk.
Oh, there we go. When you're going ahead and you're collecting that Emmy or that Grammy award, you'll have a presentation.
Oh, come on.
And I'll be able to help you out. Right now, I'm working with a lady who is applying for a beauty pageant, and she's looking to
Okay.
be Filipino. And
So the motivational speaking stuff, is it basically to get people comfortable with speaking also? Is that your main?
well, I inspire people with my talks on how they can reduce stress, how they can overcome obstacles, and how
Okay.
they can really find what brings them happiness in this world.
Okay.
Good stuff. I'm a great storyteller.
Yes.
Speaking
you
of-
absolutely are.
Speaking of which,
ahead.
I did have a question. I listened to one of the podcasts you did with Jen.
Kirabar.
Yes. And you were talking about, it was kind of like your origin story about how you had scoliosis as a kid, and it was just a very hard time, obviously. And just that, I think you were talking about, you had to wear this horrible, painful brace for a couple of years, if I'm not mistaken.
It's just a year.
Just a year. And then, but then you found out that it didn't work and you had to have surgery. Was that right? So my question was, was the surgery considered successful? And then what was your outlook like afterwards?
Well, you see, this goes back in time, and we know that history and knowledge changes. So um, I'm going to say, when they did the surgery, that's what science said was the best thing to do to help young people out who had that problem, was to surgically operate on them. And as time goes on, the doctor told me that I would never be a gymnast, that I couldn't do a back bend, that I couldn't stand on my head, and so on and so forth. But I wasn't a gymnast; I was a swimmer, so it didn't matter.
That's a bunch of bullshit, by the way. Sorry, I didn't mean to swear. That's a bunch of bullshit that he said that to you. Is what I think. Like, come on.
Well, but so life went on, and in my teaching, I learned so much. And there was a student in my class who came from England, and she said, my daughter had scoliosis, and in England they have a very different practice of medicine. And they taught people through exercise how you could strengthen these muscles and strengthen these bones. And we fast forward to my youthful age of myself right now, just a few years older. And it's come back, and it's not a good thing. And it has left me with arthritis and bone spurs in my back. And, for most of last year, I had a couple $1,000s that I was paying for a physical therapist, a acupuncturist, and a chiropractor to help reduce this pain.
Yeah.
And when I went to go see the specialist with my medical provider, someone had asked the question, because the rod is in my back, imagine it like this.
They called it a rod?
It's a Harrington rod. So imagine your body is like a home. It's like a castle. And when you give it a gift, it wants to wrap it up. It wants to give it a hug and make it feel home and special. And so my body did that. It grew around it. And so in my spine, the spine and this rod go together. And at one point, he was able to I had an S curve. Most people have a C or an S curve, and mine was the type that he was able to put another rod in. So the rod goes up and it goes over. So if I were to turn around and pretend that I stood up,
Yeah.
it goes kind of here, and then it goes across in the back of me. And
inside your spine, there's a rod?
Yeah, inside my spine in the back. So they said that exercise was the lotion for my back. And so in the pandemic, the greatest exercise I loved to do that I couldn't do was to swim. And so I would go in unheated pools, and I would do this mad dash with the feet and kick and kick and kick until your body warms up, just so I could swim, so I could get that relief. And I would go in many friends' unheated pools just to get that relief, because that's the one thing that helped me reduce the stress. And
you live in LA. You don't have heated pools?
Well,
I mean, why? What's the reason
years.
for a heated pool in LA?
It's they're cold.
It's already hot. Is it cold?
They're cold. The pools are cold. Not everybody has solar heating.
No, I understand.
And so, and since that time, I mean, there was one time, like I said, as a college teacher, funds are a little bit lower, so I don't have the time to go all this time. And there was this one time it was really whacked out, and she goes, "You haven't been here for a while." I know. I understand. I can't afford to come every time. I'm only one teacher on one class. That's all I got. So, I was out there, and she did some work, and basically the moral is I get up every day and if I do one thing, and it's the only thing I do to take care of myself, it is get up and stretch every morning.
Good.
Get up on the floor and do. I'm sorry?
Yeah. No, you're good. Matt surprises me with his questions. I had no idea he was going to ask that question, which is a great question. My mom actually has scoliosis. My mom, yeah, she has the C kind.
Right.
Where it like hunches her over. Mm-hmm. And it's she's already really short. She's only like 5'1", but the scoliosis made her like 4'9". Like it's like she's
And
small, and she.
what does she do to take care of herself?
It's a very good question. I haven't. I told her to go to the doctor, but she's like, no. If she's Spanish, and she's also very Catholic, devout Catholic.
Okay.
And so
I'm
she
gonna,
said,
I'm
if
gonna
God
give
wants to take me, God will take me. And she takes that approach, you know what I mean?
well, I'm
And
gonna
I'm like, oh,
give you
God.
an exercise that I want you to do with your mom. Okay.
Sure.
So imagine you're laying on your back, and you're gonna pull your knees to your chest, and you're gonna wrap your hands around it, and you're just gonna roll around.
Mm-hmm.
Just roll around to the right, and then roll around on the other way.
Okay.
And then take your hands like an airplane's arms, and you're going to take those knees, and you're going to turn the knees to the left, and you're going
Yeah.
to put the head to the right as you're on the floor. And that's
Okay.
going to help stretch out the back.
Okay.
And the same thing on the other way. And
I
those,
understand exactly what you're saying.
and
Yeah.
those simple things are going to stretch the part of your body right here. Can't think of
The
what
vertebrae.
the actual
The vertebrae.
the vertebrae.
Your
the
vertebrae.
vertebrae. And one other one that this lady told me is to take your hands, put your hands up near your hands, clasp them, to have your feet pointing upwards, and make your hands in the form of a banana to the right, and then to the left, and on each of the sides. And that whole thing will stretch all the vertebrae in all your body. That could help give her some relief. And say,
Okay.
Rosalyn told me that I should tell you this because she suffers still in her time at this particular pace. And
Yeah. My mother's very stubborn, but I think she would do simple exercises to help alleviate any of the pain. She's had it for so long that, I mean, I'm going to say 10 years that it's kind of, she's dealt with it. And she doesn't really talk about it anymore. Like, when it first started happening, it was like all we talked about. And we were like, hey, go to the doctor, blah, 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 this and that. And now it's been so long, and she's kind of, I guess she's managed it on her own, you know? Which I don't know how, which is like, it's crazy. She, you know, everybody thinks their mom is a super mom. But my mom is definitely a super mom, for sure, like 1,000%. And I think she still works. She doesn't have to work, but she still works cleaning houses. And she just does that for exercise, to keep her body moving, lubricated, blah, blah, blah. And I think that that's also, you know, something that she's done to alleviate the scoliosis. It's not a fair disease. It's just not fair, you know? Like,
no, it's really not. You know, if we don't have enough problems as is, why do we need to have this? And it's the motivation to get up and move, you know? How many people are going to go back to their gym when their gym goes ahead and opens?
I don't know.
I'm
going to say a small percentage.
Learning how to exercise on your own, and you've, you know, repurposed those monies for so forth. And so, did you have any other insights, Matt, on the interview that you heard?
Let's see. So you mentioned some information about meditation. I'm just wondering, I haven't done it, but I think I should start, because
okay.
I'm at a point where
Matt, you don't like cryptology, and there ain't any of that. Come on now.
Well,
That's
I
like
don't like the meditation, like the image you think of, where it's some guy with long hair with incense in the background, and he's doing some saying.
Definitely
but I like
not any essential oils.
Mindful aspect of it, of like clearing your mind, you know?
Well,
Sure.
one of the things, there's a really simple thing, and it's called Possum Meditation. And it was that training. You don't have to go away for 2 weeks, though. You can get the Vipassana app, and I love this one that's for 15.38 minutes. And basically, it has a bell that goes off every 5 minutes. And the 5 minutes is you're supposed to focus on just watching your breath. And if you just watch your breath, and there's a point where I can close my eyes and go inside. And when you go inside, you take out all that minutia, all those you should, you didn't, why didn't you, and you turn it off. And they say if you can just do this for, 10, 15 minutes every day, or when you lay down and you go to sleep.
How many days?
You do it every day.
Just do it every day.
But yeah, you do it every day, but how many days until you start to like see the results? Is there an average, or has there been studies done or anything like that?
Well, it basically, the longer that you do it, I look at it as it's a relief mode. So when I
is it a forever thing?
Yeah, when you see the benefits of what it's all about, it's something that you do, that you make a part of your life, because it makes you feel that much better. So that when the things happen that you don't want to happen, when you've done that, you just shrug it off and it's okay. And the other big thing is just simply breathe. I'm going to teach you guys this lesson here. I want you guys to sit up straight, put your backs up, put those shoulders up. And I want you to take a nice deep breath in. Go ahead and inhale. Go inhale.
With your nose?
Yep. And let it out really slow. 6.
Out of your
5,
nose or out of your mouth?
4, 3, 2, 1. Release. Okay, again, inhale. And we're going to, count down. You hold it for 6, and then you go to 4, and then you go to 2. Inhale. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now, when you think about how you feel right now, after just completing those 2 simple exercises, do you feel any different or just the same?
I feel different. I feel energized. I feel energized that that I was doing this movement. So it gives me energy just by doing it. How do you feel, Matt?
I feel
Matt's
about the same.
a skeptic, by the way. Matt's a skeptic, by the way. He doesn't believe in any of this stuff.
No,
so.
I didn't say that. I'm just saying right now. I'm not.
I feel energized. What is the goal of this? Is to be energized.
The goal is to give you the energy, to give you the insight, to go ahead and clear your mind. So
Correct.
one of them is the Possum Meditation. There's this other thing that's called the Inside app. You might go to the Inside app and you might find something that's more to your liking. You can listen to there's Sweden 24/7. That just plays this beautiful.
You have so much information. I'm writing stuff down. And I can't write it down quick enough because you are so smart. You have so much information. I'm a chimpanzee. I have no idea. You know what I mean? I'm trying to learn from you, and you are so amazing. And
most people say when they invite me, they have so much fun. They say, you got to come back another time. Let's go ahead and continue this conversation.
Oh, absolutely. I would have you back in a heart. We would have you back in a heartbeat. I was so nervous to talk to you because I was like, wow, she talks to she's written 3 books. What, so much. What a portfolio that you have. And so I was nervous. But as soon as you got on, you started asking Matt. You got Matt involved, and I told Matt too. I said, Matt, you need to be more involved in the podcast but Matt, I don't want to say it and embarrass him, but he's shy about how he thinks his voice or his opinion is portrayed, and I know that he is an amazing guy with a lot of insight. It's one of those kind of people that only talks, and whenever they talk, it's super important. Whatever they say is it's valid, very valid. Me, the opposite. I talk, way too much talking. Matt's the exact opposite, and I said, you're the peanut butter to my jelly, man.
Well, that's why you guys make such a great combination.
I think so too.
But you've got some good skills there too, Josh. I mean, I really applaud the way that you you complimented Matt for his fine question. And when put to the muscle, he said, well, there's this other question I had. I'd like you to go ahead and talk about that. And it's the beauty that makes you guys such a great team.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. What, like, Rosalyn, you're amazing, man. Go ahead, Matt. Matt was going to say something. You can't stop him from doing that.
I forgot what I was going to say. You distracted me.
I did. Whenever you asked Matt the question about, what else did he, I don't want you to think that I didn't listen to any of the podcasts that you had with somebody, and I don't remember her name, but I remember a story, because as soon as I was like, oh, we're going to have Rosalyn on the show, I need to listen to some of her stuff. And one of the main things that I had was this pay it forward kind of a mentality, and your thoughts on that. And the main thing, it's happened to me multiple times. I'm sure it's happened to Matt. I'm sure it's happened to you, Rosalyn. It's whenever somebody at the drive-thru pays for you, what that meant. Not just what the mentality it gives the person behind you, but what it reverberates throughout, and how long does it go back? Like, how many people, is it the whole day? All day? People are just paying for each other all the way back? Like,
well, the story was this. I read this book by Tony Hsieh, and it's Passion, Profits, and Purpose. He's in heaven right now, but he had this business that was Zappos shoe store. And he invited anybody who wanted to go visit to go and visit. It's recently been taken over by Amazon or somebody else. But I went and I was blown away. I mean, you would absolutely love it. It was like a kid in a candy store. Every person's area or cubicle was set up as if they were 8 years old and what they loved to do. So there was Tonka toys, there was Barbie dolls and G.I. Joes and everything. And your nameplate was your license plate. The boss was in the Amazon. You had that big candy machine. The HR office was, you were going to go visit the Queen of Sheba, and she was going to go ahead and do a reading for you.
wow.
And
okay.
it just, I want to work there, baby. I want to work there. And then I saw this wall of gratitude, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. And then I saw all the stuff they did in the community, and I said, this is cool. And I got to sit in a chair, and I was queen for the day. And,
Get out.
And I said, I'm going to take this back to my students. And what if I could inspire my students to do random acts of kindness? And here I was at Santa Monica College, and I had kids who were deathly afraid of public speaking. And maybe that's what I should do with my kids right here. And maybe I should do that. Maybe that would help them. Anyhow, sorry, I got sidetracked.
No. The Random Acts of Kindness is your book, your first book, which I wanted to get into. We need way more time.
Well, if you want me to come back, and we can share that, and we can.
I definitely want you to come back. Absolutely. This has been refreshing. You're like exactly. Sorry, exactly what we need. Exactly the kind of thing. My only thing is so many positive things. Do you believe in the yin and the yang? It's got to come back. So, right? If it's way too positive, is that I'm not going to say a bad thing, but is that recommended? All positive, everything positive. Does the world, do humans need a yang from the yin, if that makes any sense?
Well, it's all in the way that we focus and the way that we look at things. And if you begin to look at the world, it's what you look at is what happens. So if you look at things that are positive, then positive goes ahead and comes from that. And if you look at the world from the negative, the negativity goes ahead and grows, and all the negative thoughts. But which would you rather be, the happy or the unhappy happy?
I just wonder if there needs to be a balance, if it needs to be even because of mathematics.
But life never goes perfect. Life never goes perfect. I mean, there are points today that, I did a walk here and a walk there, and I said, I don't know, what shall I do? And and all of us have these questions many times throughout the day. And I go to my favorite book of paper and I just start writing. And to me, that writing is a form of therapy. It's a form of therapy. It's a way to clear my mind and say, you know, this is this and that is that. And
I told Matt that this podcast was a form of therapy for me, because you were able to basically, like, if you go to a therapist and you just lie down on the couch, you're able to lay out exactly how you feel. And that's a therapy for me, and it has been a therapy for me. Matt's not me, so I don't know if it was therapy for him.
It has. I mean, just talking stuff out, that I feel like that's therapy in itself. So it definitely has.
No, it's the beauty in this world that we live in. And I've said my new group of friends is the people I've met in my podcast. They're like the people that, hey, you know, is it okay if I give you a call sometime, Josh? You know, we've just had such a wonderful conversation here. And, you know, through the pandemic, I've found that I have 50 new friends that I can call on and say, hey, what are you doing right now? You got time for a quick chat? And, you know, so many people, it's like people see me on a podcast and I think they see the whole me versus, you know, I'm the college teacher, I'm the TED speaker, I'm the one who talks about security, I'm the one who talks about identity theft. You know, they see this chapter, vision, segment.
Right.
And
which I don't think that you actually gravitate towards. You gravitate towards the more like real connection. Let's talk about like everyday stuff. You know what I mean? Like I had no idea we were going to tap on the topic of homelessness in LA, but we did. We tapped on so many things that weren't even written on that questionnaire, which it makes this amazing because it's just an organic conversation between one human being and other human beings, you know? Like, I have really, like, and I know you got to go soon-ish because you had another appointment, blah, blah, but I have really, I was nervous, and I was like, maybe I shouldn't even have guests on my podcast because, you know, like, it was a little bit nerve-wracking. I was like, I'm just doing this for fun. But, man, you are an amazing woman and an amazing guest. Like, and I've loved every second of speaking with you, like, right now. And I'm not trying to, you know, make you cry or anything like that.
no, but you know, I appreciate that because everybody has their own art and the way that they express themselves. And, you know, to me, happiness is if I can change one person's life every day, then that to me is life.
You changed my life today.
Thank you.
So there you go. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Right on task.
I told you about my special gift. You got that link that I sent you?
No, Matt, pull it up, please.
Which link are we talking about?
There's a link that says https://www.rosalyn.com/be-kind. And I want to gift everyone who goes ahead and listens to your show here
a
copy of that first book that I had. And it's the one that's on random acts of kindness. And they can just go in there and mention your show and say that they enjoyed it. And they can have an opportunity to get the first book I wrote on the random acts of kindness.
I know. I want to know more about that. And we're definitely going to have you back on. If you enjoyed the experience and you want to come back on, we would love to have you. You're just perfect. But I would definitely want to dive into random acts of kindness because the whole thing, I don't even know if we finished the whole, you know, the whole thought of paying it back and how it reverberates.
Yeah, but it just goes to others. And I'll give you one story that basically goes ahead and says that. And the one thing that we have is that I had made these calendars and I had a few and I needed to just share them. And so one day I went to the farmer's market and I just started sharing them with people. And I said, I've seen you a lot, and I just wanted to give you a gift. And when I went ahead and gave gifts to the people at the farmer's market, they gave me gifts in return.
Really?
I was like, wow. You know, this.
What'd they give you
guy,
back? Like a tomato?
No, this one guy had cookies, and he gave me some chocolate
Not far
chips.
off. Edible.
Chocolate chip oatmeal cookies or something like that were pretty cool.
Cool.
And there was another person who made fresh squeezed orange juice that was absolutely delicious, and she gave me a sample of the orange juice. And I don't remember.
So random acts of kindness, basically.
It's just you just do it out of the kindness of your heart without anything in return. But I gave out these calendars to people in my neighborhood, and I was kind of amazed. They're pictures. I told you I love photography. I told you that. It means the world to me. So when photographers like my pictures, I'm ecstatic on Instagram. It's like, oh my God, a photographer liked my pictures. There's a possibility. Oh yeah, I can see pictures every day. I thank you so much for bringing me out here. It's been wonderful. I look forward to seeing this up and out there, so we can tell the world we went from ants to homeless and back to Jamba Jam to exercises for mom
to getting Matt to talk. Holy whoa! That's a miracle in itself.
I can hardly wait
there.
to see the tags on this one as you put that one out there. That'd be awesome. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, it'll take me a while to type up the show notes, but it'll be fun.
Cool.
But
cool.
Yeah, we really appreciate you coming on. It's been a lot of fun.
It's been an honor and a pleasure, and I know that when you get the edit up there, you'll get that tag light in for that free gift for all the listeners.
Yep.
And I look forward to setting up that next date, and gratitude beyond words. Namaste, and I look forward to connecting with you soon.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Alrighty.
Bye.
Take care.